If you're sick of the mainstream sports outlets, well, so was I. So I started my own show. I'm Shane Larson, and this is the Game Time Guru. It's different than other talk shows. I'm providing a panoramic view on sports so you can see them through a different lens. So buckle up and let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Game Time Guru podcast with your host, Shane Larson. You know, I'm always bringing on new people, trying to give you a different perspective on sports, and today we have a football journey that you don't want to miss. This guy went through the junior college ranks in California, all the way to Tulsa, all the way to McNeese State to finish out his career. You don't want to miss it. It's a very unique journey, and it's interesting to hear what it's like to try to play quarterback at a high level in the collegiate ranks. So you're going to hear why he went the JUCO route and his experience with doing so, and some of the players he got to play against and compete against, even in junior college, because you get some amazing athletes that go through that route. Before we get started, though, I just want to make sure you guys understand that you can subscribe to the podcast to get all the notifications moving forward, and you can listen to previous episodes that have come and gone, but they're always there for you to listen to. Amazing interviews, amazing stories from different people from different walks of life in the sports world. So hit the subscribe button, whether you're on an iPhone, an Android, you're on your desktop, it doesn't matter. Check it out, subscribe to the show so that you can catch them all. Guys, I'm excited to bring this guest on. He's been a guy I've been looking up to for quite some time. I followed him when he was in high school because he's from our local city here in Meridian, Idaho. His name's Jake Bauer, and I remember being at the high school games. He was a stud basketball player as well as a football player, but at the basketball games, they do the Bauer Power chant, and I remember just being a little bit younger than him. I think I was 2 years younger than him when it came to school, but he was just an amazing athlete, someone that a lot of us looked up to. His work ethic was awesome. He was built like a machine back then, and so it was just fun to watch how he competed. He's always been very competitive, and I still get to compete against him sometimes on the basketball court here in our city leagues now that he's here back in town. So you guys are going to hear his story, his football journey. We're going to learn why he actually took the football route rather than basketball. He'll talk about that. He'll talk about going to junior college in California, and we'll talk about his experience at Tulsa being recruited by Gus Malzahn. You're going to want to hear that as well. So check it out. Enjoy the interview, and you guys know the drill. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll always be bringing new stuff on next week, but enjoy this interview with Jake Bauer. What's going on, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Game Time Guru podcast. I'm your host, Shane Larson, and today I've got a special guest on the show joining us to tell us about his entire sports journey and then what he's doing now. He's a local legend here from the Treasure Valley, and I'm excited to have him on here. It's Jake Bauer. Jake, thanks so much for being on the show with us today.
Oh, thanks, Shane, for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, my man. Now, Jake was a basketball player here in the city that I live in. He actually originally went to the high school that I graduated from and then transferred later on in his career over to a different school locally here. And actually, we knew Jake for his basketball talent. So first, I want to get a little bit of the talk going on your basketball skill set, because that's what we first knew you as before we went into the football world. Now, Jake, how long had you been playing basketball? Because I know you got to Meridian High School and started playing on the varsity team, and you contributed immediately as soon as you got into high school. So, when was it that you knew that you were going to be able to compete at an elite level on the basketball court?
Yeah, basketball was kind of my whole life growing up. I grew up in a basketball family. My oldest brother, Danny, he played Division I basketball, and Ricky and all my brothers played college basketball. Danny and Ricky played at Division I at BYU in Wisconsin. So I grew up in that house. We had my dad died when I was really young, and he had a bunch of life insurance money, and so my mom was able to build a basketball game with my stepdad, but we built a basketball gym. That money. Like a basement basketball gym. So I grew up with a gym in my basement with my older brothers, and so it was just kind of my whole life. Probably from as young as I can remember, I was shooting hoops and doing basketball drills and going to Rick Majerus camps and going to College of Idaho basketball camps, and so yeah, that was just my whole life growing up with basketball.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, it's no surprise, though, if that's what you were doing, because I just remember I was just younger, almost into middle school when you were a freshman in high school, and I just remember, the Bauer Power chants and everything like that. So it's crazy seeing you on the basketball court, and you still compete even today. Like, you never stopped being able to shoot the basketball, which is insane. But what I was so impressed with was that you were a multi-sport athlete and you competed at a high level on all of them. And so one time, I didn't even know you played football, and I go over to Meridian High School. I think I was a sophomore at the time, and you were at Mountain View. And I remember people talking about, like, oh, I think Bauer's going to go play football in college. And I was like, what does he even play? And they're like, he's a quarterback. And I was like, how did I not know that? I don't even know. And I followed football throughout I just didn't realize that was you. And I remember going to a Meridian and Mountain View football game at Mountain View, and you were just warming up or something, and you threw the ball like darn near 50 to 60 yards off your back foot. And I was like, holy crap, this guy can ball. Now, it seemed like for us that you were known for basketball, but you were such a good competitor on the football field. When was it that you actually decided to make the shift to go continue on with your football career rather than basketball?
Probably my junior year. That was a hard decision, but maybe looking back, I probably should have gone basketball. Looking at it, but I was pretty big for my age. I was about 225 pounds by the time I was a senior in high school, so I enjoyed the contact and the physicalness of football, and I just thought being a 6'4" white kid, 225 pounds with an arm, I thought I had a better chance going football than the basketball route. So I left both. It was a hard decision. I think I knew I had to choose one and try to go with it. So I think it was about my junior year I decided to go with football.
Right on, man. Well, it obviously worked out for you because, like, you had a unique route through the football world, and I kind of want to get to that. You made that decision. It was a difficult decision, but you made it and you went through with it. Now, the rumors around the Valley were that you were going to go to BYU. You served a mission for your church, and then you were going to go to BYU. And so is that true? Are the rumors true? And can you explain that process? Because what ended up happening is I believe you went down to California at a junior college route. So could you explain how you got to California, essentially?
Yeah, football's crazy, especially the quarterback position. It's definitely not easy. It's probably the hardest position you can pick because only one guy's play. You even look at the Boise State situation with Brett Rippon and that quarterback that transferred to NC State, and he's tearing it up. And so I served a mission, came back. The coach that I signed for, Gary Croton, was fired. It was just kind of a new coaching staff. They brought in Max Holland. Obviously, he's a guy that went to the NFL, and I kind of found out shape for my mission. So I was like, I'm going to go play JC for a year, get some experience under my belt, and worked out good. I met my wife, got married to her, and was able to be like the number one ranked quarterback in the country in junior college after 1 year. Signed for Bakersfield and had an NFL wide receiver on my team, and put up some numbers. So it was kind of fun to go down there and play for a year and then end up at Tulsa. So it's just, football's crazy, especially the quarterback position. Only one guy can play, and coaches bounce all the time. They're leaving, and so it's definitely a crazy experience.
Absolutely, man. It is. It's a tough sport, especially at that position, like you said. And so you go down to California. You said you were the number one ranked quarterback in the country. I remember seeing that in the paper. Someone in the locally, I think it was the Idaho Statesman, had published something about you, and just seeing where you were at. And it was crazy seeing that. Now you had an NFL wide receiver on your team. But what was the JUCO experience like? Obviously, you said you met your wife, so that was a cool thing. But like, we're getting more exposed to the junior college route just because of like Netflix has the series Last Chance U, so people kind of see what the junior college football scene kind of looks like. But for you who went through it, what was it like as far as like the overall, I guess, competitive level? And when you transferred over to Tulsa, like, What was it like with that transfer going from the JUCO scene over to a Division I school like Tulsa?
So the California junior college level is it's pretty competitive. That's why I chose to play there. I was looking at players like Colt Brennan and even like Aaron Rodgers. They all played. They played junior college football. Even like Julian Edelman came from California JUCO football. Aaron Rodgers. I could go on and on. In fact, there's a team I played against called Santa Barbara Junior College. If you're looking back a few years before I got there, Chad Johnson and who's the guy that played for the not Ravens, but Carolina Panthers back in the day.
Delhomme? Jake Delhomme?
No, the receiver, their best receiver ever.
Steve Smith.
Yes, Steve Smith and Chad Johnson were on the same junior college team at the same time at Santa Barbara Community College. When I was in the league I was in, so there's just like crazy amount of NFL players that come out of this conference that I played in. And dudes are on steroids left and right. It's not regulated, and so it's pretty crazy. You can, one team I played against, El Camino, it was just stacked. I mean, there was like 24 guys that went D1 from that team. I played against a team called Mount Sac, and their quarterback ended up going to UCLA. Boise State has the rosters full of California JUCO players, so it's kind of it's definitely a cool place. It's also a power conference, so all the JUCOs. There's a bunch of JUCOs in California, but there's like in Southern California, there's like a power conference. So it's like Mount Sac, Bakersfield, El Camino, and it's all these pretty big time programs. So the talent is pretty good down there every year. There's a bunch of guys that can't make it for grades or they get in trouble with the law or whatever, and so a lot of times it's like a second chance place for them. So a lot of these programs, it can be, one year may be dead, and then next year you'll just have loaded with talent. And so it's kind of a cool place to play in. And that, I can't remember what the conference is called now. It's the Southern California JUCO conference down there. And it was fun, and playing against a lot of players that end up playing in the league.
That's so crazy hearing that. I guess I've always kind of known that. I've heard about those other players that you mentioned going to JUCOs, but I didn't actually put it into perspective that it was like a lot of them all came from Cali. So that's really cool to hear. Now, what were the facilities like at your specific, school in comparison to, some others? I mean, we watched Last Chance U and Independence Community College in Kansas or whatever, where the Last Chance U season 3 was located. They had a pretty good facility. Adidas sponsored the school because the show was coming there and whatnot. And they had some awesome facilities, but we've also seen some other schools. We've heard about like Cam Newton when he had to go down to a JUCO route, and the difference between the facilities there and what he had at Florida during his freshman year before he went over to Auburn. What was the facility like over at your your junior college, I should say?
Mine were pretty nice. I played at a place called Bakersfield. It's got a massive stadium. It was kind of like we had 20,000 at our games at the very end of the season when we were like undefeated playing for a championship. It's like a double rec. It was kind of like Boise State Stadium before they expanded. They called our stadium the Jewel of college football. It was a really nice stadium, really nice weight room. But yeah, there's other places that had nothing. I think I think it depended on if they had a good following with boosters or not. But the place I was at, Bakersfield, they had a lot of cool boosters. In fact, they got trouble recently for boosters paying players and stuff. Which, whatever, it happens everywhere, but, so I think, and I playing in Tulsa, there's NEO close by where, like, Jeremy Shockey played at, and they had decent facilities, so, some of them have good boosters, and kind of like Capitol High School with Jake Plummer, and these people will pay for a nice stadium and nice weight rooms and locker rooms and stuff, and then, you could go to a crap hole, the next one. It's kind of crazy how how that works. But yeah, lots of variety, lots of nice ones, and then trashy ones in between.
It's interesting, though, to hear that, because now I see why. Yeah, a lot of it has to probably do with the boosters and just kind of what funding they get from it. So that's an interesting perspective on it. And now you went over to Tulsa, and I want everyone to understand, like, when you were at Tulsa was a pretty dang good program at the time. And if it was around that time, like, I'm not sure if you were on the roster yet. You'll have to correct me here, but they almost beat Boise State during Boise State's, like, heyday a couple times. So Tulsa was a good school. What was it like going over there and playing for a decent program, actually? It was a good D1 program. What was it like going there from a JUCO?
It was awesome. Tulsa is like the smallest private school in the country. You know, we only had like 2,000 kids at our school, lots of oil money. So we had really nice, really nice facilities, nice Nike stuff. Brand new equipment, so like that was super nice. You didn't have a whole lot of, like, because it was so small, like, you didn't have a whole lot of fans sometimes, and then you had Tulsa was right next to Oklahoma, which was like an hour away, Oklahoma State, which was an hour away, and then Arkansas, which was an hour away. And so it was kind of like in a hub of football, so sometimes it was overshadowed by some of the schools. But we were in a really good conference. And I think a lot of people don't realize how good the American Conference is in football. You have teams, and so it was Conference USA when I was there, but essentially it's kind of like the American now. But teams like Central Florida, Houston, anyway, that American Conference in football, it's a really legit conference. There's a lot of talent coming out of this conference. I wish Boise State and BYU would join that conference, in my opinion. Because I think that would just be like the best mid-major conference with those two teams. But anyway, that's the conference I was in. I played against, like, Case Keenum when he was at Houston. And I was right after him was Blake Boyles at Central Florida. And so anyway, a lot of talent, a lot of guys in the NFL. I had guys like Charles Clay on my team. He was our tight end. He's now playing in the NFL. And Demarius Thomas. Just to name a couple guys, but I played for Gus Malzahn, who's the head coach at Auburn, and he was the offense coordinator when I was there. He's the one that recruited me. So he was a good recruiter. So we had some athletes when I was there. But yeah, we did play Boise State. I think we lost by 6 the year that I think they went to the Fiesta Bowl with Kellen Moore, and that was the year they beat TCU. So they were undefeated and won the Fiesta Bowl. I think maybe the best year in Boise State history, and we gave them the game. I think we hit the ball on the 49-yard line going in, down by 6. So we could have scored, we could have won, but we didn't score. So that was 09, I believe. Oh yeah, I'm getting so old.
Well, now I'm thinking about it, man. I was actually serving my mission. I was in Brazil, but I remember always getting the recaps of the games on Mondays, because that was the days that I could email my family, and my uncle would give me like a full recap of all the games. And I remember him talking about the Tulsa game and how you guys probably should have beat us. Like, you probably should have won. That it was a shootout the entire way, and like we legitimately couldn't stop you guys. And then I ended up watching that game because they recorded all the games for me for Boise State. And then when I returned from my mission, I actually watched each one of them because I'm a nerd like that. And I thought that Tulsa should have beat us. So that's so cool to hear it from someone who was there, though, that was on a different team. It's just crazy. It's crazy to hear how now I'm talking to somebody who was playing in that game. And you were recruited by Gus Malzahn, man. I did not know that. I did not know that. So that's super dope. Now, Jake, you went through the Tulsa route, and then it seemed like you just kept playing, because then you went down. Is it in Texas? You got to explain where this school is and why you continue to play football and go into grad school.
Yeah, so I was the, quarterback situations are crazy. I think so. Gus Malzahn left Tulsa, and I was like his boy. If you follow his career and all, he loves. He really liked junior college quarterbacks. That's where he got Cam Newton from. He got me from JUCO. And when he left Tulsa my junior year and went to Auburn. And then a new OC came in, and a transfer quarterback came in from Texas, and that was pretty much it was his starting job to lose with this new system, with this coach that he knew this guy that came in. So I was kind of crap out of luck with that transfer. And I graduated from Tulsa, and so I did that grad transfer thing that you see like Russell Wilson's done and all these guys. So I'm like, well, I'm going to, if I'm going to be a backup quarterback, I might as well transfer and play my last year. And so that's what I did. Went and got a master's degree paid for and played at McNeese State in Louisiana. And people don't know me. I love hunting and fishing. So that was another reason I went down there, was because Louisiana is awesome hunting and fishing. And when I went on my recruiting trip, they took me fishing. So I took my family down there and got to fish every week for redfish and flounder and speckled trout and duck hunt and hang out with a bunch of coon asses and Cajun people. It was an awesome experience. Get my master's paid for too.
Man, that's super dope. So that's so awesome. That's like the benefit of being an elite athlete, being able to go and experience a lot of things, because sports can take you a lot of places in the world and you get to experience a lot of things outside of sports. Now, you got your school paid for too, which is super dope, and we'll kind of get to where that's gotten you now in just a second. But as far as McNeese State, tell us, like, what division of football is McNeese State, and what was the competition like there? Did you enjoy your time playing there when you had your final year?
Yeah. Louisiana, it's another hotbed for football. McNeese State would kind of be like the same league as like Montana State, Idaho, Weber State, like that. I'd say we're a little, given on the year, they probably have a lot more talent because they're down in the South and they get a lot of, similar people, kind of like a JUCO type of players, where sometimes the grades don't turn out for the D1s. So I had a player that he's now just signed with the Steelers. His name's Deontay, and he just signed with the Steelers. He was my receiver when I was there. I had a couple other receivers that should have played, but they flunked out, and so that was kind of disappointing. I would have even had some more talented receivers when I was there, but so I ended up running the ball a lot instead of a little bit more than I wanted to. But I did have that receiver that went pro. It was kind of cool. But yeah, super talented. I think we had a DB, Malcolm Bronson, that played for the Broncos, and a linebacker that went to the Bears. So it was another place full of talent. We played LSU. We were down by 7 in the fourth quarter against LSU, and I played against Missouri when they had like Antoine. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but Antoine Smith, who led the NFL in sacks. And so, yeah, I got to play against some schools and have fun that senior year.
So you got to tell me something, Jake. Who was the best player that you ever played against, whether it be JUCO, at Tulsa, or at McNeese State? Who was the best player you ever played against?
I played against, honestly, Kellen Moore was amazing. I played against Matt Ryan at Boston College. He was also amazing. Honestly, that defensive end for Missouri, and I'm not sure if I'm saying it, is Antoine Smith. And he ended up being drafted by the 49ers, and he got arrested on the gun charges and ended up at Oakland. But he was pretty talented. He gave me I could send you a picture, but he rocked me every play. He was like unguardable even with two guys blocking him. So I'd probably say him, but on defense for sure.
Okay, so if you have pictures of that, you need to send them over, man. I got to see that, because that's awesome. And I'm trying to think of his name off the top of my head, and I will get it before before it ends. But so Jake, you played quite a bit of football. You played sports your entire life. Obviously, that takes an impact, a toll on your body. And it's kind of interesting because now you're kind of in the medical field, helping people take care of their bodies. So like, talk about the transition from football. You finished school and you decided, this is time to start your career, kind of what you do now and what you learned from football. So like, how did that translate into your job that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, everywhere I went, because I went to so many different places, you always had, at the places I went to, they had excellent, sports medicine teams, and you kind of see them come in, and we always had like a team chiropractor, and we always had, physical therapists coming in, helping us, and athletic trainers, and usually the top of the line sports therapy stuff at the different places we were at. And so, I don't know, I was just kind of, started realizing that the rest of the population really didn't have the same things that these athletes had. And that was kind of my idea, was that, hey, I could make a treatment place for athletes, high school athletes. Cause I remember, being at Meridian and Mountain View and not having, people like that around me either. So that was kind of my idea, to bring, chiropractic and physical therapy together, for, back to my hometown. So that was kind of like a little backup plan in the back of my head. I think in my back of my head, I always thought I was going to play professional. That was my dream, to go pro, and it never really came to fruition. I got an offer to play Canadian League, to try out for it. At that time I had concussions and fractured an ankle in my last game. And so I was just kind of ready to get focused with the career at that point. Anyway, it's been awesome though. We have a Nampa and a Caldwell clinic now open. We offer chiropractic, massage therapy, and physical therapy at both locations. You come in and you get like the same thing that these professional and college teams get. So I have a class 4 laser in there. We got the heat and the stem and the machines and the hypervolts and the same stuff that LeBron James gets, after my clinic. It's kind of cool. So, anyway, it's been a pretty good hit. We're getting really busy in these clinics. I'm kind of running and everything I did in sports and my background and injuries and I mean, football, you get injured like crazy. I sprained ankles, I separated shoulders, concussions and all that stuff. So I think just bringing it all together, I could be a little bit disappointed in the way that my career didn't turn out, that I wasn't as good as I thought I would be. But I mean, everything happened has brought me to this point where now I have a very successful business, and my sports career is the reason why. So very blessed to have the journey and have it paid for and learn all the things along the way.
That's super dope, man. It's awesome. I follow you guys and what you're doing over at your centers and your clinics. And for me, I always battled shin splints. I had stress fractures because of them. It was terrible. My shins were just always messed up. And I saw you guys actually did the Graston technique or something over at your clinic. At least you did at one point, because I remember watching a video of it. And so I always wish that, like, when I was in high school, if I could have had that to take care of my shins, because I didn't have that till after my mission. So I was like in my early 20s. And yeah, so I mean, the Graston technique was huge. Like, if anyone's listening to this that's in the Valley and you got kids, or you are, some of my listeners are in high school, you're athletes, check it out. Can you tell us exactly where to find you guys, Jake, and what it's called? And you said it was in Caldwell and Nampa. You have 2 clinics, but what is it called, and how can we contact you?
Yeah, it's called Prime Sports Med. We just changed the name. It's pretty new. You probably haven't heard of it. We don't do a whole lot of advertising, but we're super popular with the high school athletes around Nampa and Caldwell and the College of Idaho and NMU athletes. So it's Prime Sports Med. We're in Nampa and Caldwell, and we're hoping to be open in Meridian probably within a year is our goal. And we offer like sports chiropractic and physical therapy. So we have a physical therapist and chiropractors and like deep tissue massage therapists. We do advanced sports injury techniques, kind of like you said, Graston, cupping, lasers, even acupuncture, trigger point injection stuff, you name it. Whatever we can do to fix you, we'll do it. So I even treated a girl with shin splints today, just kind of like what you had. So see all sorts of crazy stuff.
That's what I'm talking about, you guys. I'll put the link down here below, Prime Sports Med. Make sure you go check it out. This is good stuff that you're doing, Jake, and I appreciate you joining us and sharing your journey. I just want everybody to understand that, sports can teach you a lot of things. You can go through Jake's entire life, his whole journey through sports, and it kind of comes full circle. He took a lot of hits, he learned a lot of things, he went a lot of places, and now he's helping people, prevent injuries and recover from injuries for that matter. So, Jake, I appreciate you joining the show, and hopefully we'll see you on the basketball court sometime soon in a rec league or something. All right, man?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. You take care. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of my show. Now, if you could go and do me a favor, head over to iTunes, give me 5 stars, and leave me a review. It would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support.